Welcome back to Kids Live. I'm sitting here again with Kathy Walker, and today we're going to chat about behaviour in children, positive and negative. Kathy, tell us why a child would choose to exhibit negative behaviour over positive behaviour when they know that the negative is going to get perhaps a nasty result.
It's a really good question, and I guess the starting point there that I often say to parents is that all behaviour has some kind of meaning. It's very unlikely a 2 or a 3-year-old will wake up in the morning, lie in bed and think, yes, I'll choose to be bad at 10 o'clock this morning, or I'll choose to bite the baby. And so in a sense, children will have unconscious reasons for misbehaviour. They're not, unless we believe all children are born bad and evil or manipulative, which they're not, although I know it's tempting sometimes to think that they are. It's really about us as parents then thinking, okay, so what might that behaviour mean? And rather than perhaps label it as bad or good, to ask that question, I wonder why. I wonder why they're behaving that way. And what can I do to redirect or to change or alter or modify that behaviour?
Sure. So if a child, a toddler, they're prone to biting, hitting, pushing, and some behaviour is more acceptable than others.
Absolutely.
Even though it is all the same, caused from frustration or the inability to communicate what they want. We're in public, a child bites another child. What would you recommend to be the best way to deal with that?
Out in the public domain, if your own child bites another, first of all, of course, it's very embarrassing and uncomfortable for the parent. So usually I say a number of things. One, always apologise to the child's parent and look after the child who's been bitten and be honest, I'm really sorry that's happened. With a young child though, usually a biter is a child under 2, and that may be frustration, teething, lack of language. There's usually a reason. And so the best thing to do is simply to say, I don't want you to do that again, and move the child away, to distract them, to redirect them. There's very little point in going down the path of I must punish this child because they've bitten, because at 2, the way they're thinking, the way they're processing, once it's happened, it's happened. You know, those old ways of thinking about, oh, we'd better wash their mouth out with soap, or we'd better hit them to make them learn a lesson. With young children particularly, they're not thinking through the consequences of their reactions or their behaviour, they just do it spontaneously. So looking after the child who's been bitten, moving your child away, certainly being able to say, I'm not happy about that, it's not okay to bite, but that would be enough. You don't really need to then go through further punishment.
Sure, because I do find it is difficult. I've had a child that was a very good child, that didn't bite or hit, maybe expressed his frustrations in different ways, and then another child who did bite and hit. And it's interesting, adults' reactions to that.
Oh yeah.
And almost looking at me as being a bad parent, yet I've parented these children exactly the same.
Yeah.
So, although I am realising that I have to parent now one child a little bit differently to the other, is that allowed? Absolutely.
I think that there's a lovely saying that in the name of equity, we can't always have sameness. And I think that's a really nice thing for parents to know. Each of our children have their own personalities, they're different ages, they have a different sibling relationship with each other, they have a slightly different relationship between themselves and their parents. So I think recognising that whilst you may want to have a consistent set of values and principles and acceptable and non-acceptable behaviours that's accepted in the home, some of the strategies you use may have to be different depending on their age, their personality and the dynamic between them all.
Sure, sure. Now with children's behaviour, I find when we eliminate or manage the television timetable, the children's behaviour improves. When we say you can only spend this amount of time on the computer rather than 3 hours on the computer, the children's behaviour improves. And I guess it's because they're having more family time, they're communicating more.
Yeah.
How do you suggest that we promote more family time within the home?
That's a really great question, because I think one of the key things about children's behaviour is the proactive rather than the reactive. Rather than waiting for everything to go wrong, it is about how do we set up the family home, lifestyle issues, TV viewing, how do we do all of that to reduce the opportunities for misbehaviour to occur. And that TV viewing is a really good one. I'm very concerned that we've almost, in Australian homes now, we're all bunkered down in our own bedrooms, and every child and every adult has their own TV, their own computer, their own Game Boy. We don't ever have to come together anymore in a family room or a living room and fight over which TV show, or learn to wait for which TV show, or actually have no TV sometimes. And so I think, yeah, really being careful about bringing the family together. You know, one of the best ways to learn conflict resolution is through the ordinary argy-bargy of sibling rivalry. We often intervene too quickly in those kind of things as parents, letting children not kill each other, but letting children have that ordinary fighting, squabbling, saying it's not fair, I wish I could watch that TV show or whatever. That's ordinary life, and I think that's part of how children learn to behave. They sort out their own problems. You as the parent don't have to end up feeling like a referee or an umpire the whole time. And certainly not having children in their own rooms, never having to talk, never having to negotiate, never learning to compromise. So I feel quite strongly about that. I think we really need to make sure the family emphasis and that shared TV viewing, watching the TV together, talking through issues that are heard or seen together are very important in helping children develop appropriate understandings and sets of behaviour for the future.
Thanks, Kathy. Thanks for joining us. It's been fantastic speaking with you, and look forward to talking to you again.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.